Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about some Oilers trade rumors, specifically about Jesse Puljujarvi, and if the Oilers are ready to shop him around. The former 4th overall pick in the 2016 draft has been one of the more interesting players to watch and see his story since he was drafted. So will the Edmonton Oilers do something, and will they actually make a trade? Now, Jesse Puljujarvi is a Finnish-born right winger. He's currently at the age of 20. He was drafted in 2016, 4th overall by the Edmonton Oilers. And so far, since he's been drafted, it's not been the cleanest career for him so far. Now, his rookie year was pretty good. He played just under 30 games, he got a few points, and he was looking to really build on that to the next year, which was 2017-2018. He played about 65 games, had 12 goals, 8 assists for 20 points. Not terrible, but you'd expect a little bit more from that overall pick, but hey, that's fine, that's excusable. Until this year, he was pegged to be a breakout guy and someone that would finally start to get rolling. And this year, it was looked at as a potential breakout year for him. It looked as a year that he might get more ice time. He might start impressing, of course, the Edmonton Oilers more and more. And it seemed like this year, he would finally start producing, at least on the scoreboard. And so far, it just hasn't been the case. So far this season, it's not been what Edmonton has planned for. He's played 7 games, he's gotten 1 goal, 1 point. It just has not been the return, or I guess the breakout season that a lot of people, including me, expected so far. Now there has been a little bit of controversy. He's been scratched for 2 games straight now versus Washington and then Nashville. So he's not getting the playing time, and he's definitely not getting in the lineup enough for really him to perform. And while he hasn't done anything too meaningful so far this season, I think he deserves to get more playing time and to get more ice time. And I think it's more of a mentality when it comes to Tom McClellan. I still think he's a pretty good coach, but the way that he's handled guys like Puljujarvi has just not really been up to snuff to what I want him to be. With Puljujarvi, I think he can be managed much more strongly. He needs to be more involved with the team, and if you're going to be scratching every other night, that's not going to be best for his development, especially in the long run. Now, while Edmonton is winning games without him, I don't feel like having him scratched every game is the answer here. So there's going to be some controversy, especially in the next few games, if Puljujarvi continues to not play, and especially if he continues to not get ice time. He's not going to develop, especially on Edmonton's 4th line, playing with guys like Brodziak and Kajula. He's not going to develop with those guys, and while I don't think that he should play with McDavid, I don't know if he's earned that yet, he should play with better opponents, and I think Draisaitl will be a great fit, especially on that second line. Get him a little bit more playing time and get him a little bit more creativity and freedom to really show the skills that he obviously has. Even if he's only playing on the 4th or 3rd line, those numbers are still, they should be better, especially for a guy like Puljujarvi. He should be able to perform better. So while I think it's on the team a little bit for not playing as much as I think he should be playing, I think it's also on him for not performing like he should. Again, he's a 4th overall pick, and he was setting records in the Liga when he was down there as a kid, and he obviously has talent, but he just has not been able to show that too much at the NHL level, which is sad, but it is just a reality. He's not been able to perform so far. And again, the kid still is young. He's in his 3rd year in the NHL. He's only 20 years old, but he has that expectations, of course, being drafted 4th overall and having those records in the league when he was down there. He has those expectations, and he was looking to be the 3rd overall pick. Again, Columbus taking Pierre-Luc Dubois at the time was a little bit of a surprise. So Puljujarvi was looked at as a guy that was supposed to be a steal for Edmonton and was supposed to be the guy next to Connor McDavid. It seemed like a perfect match there, and Puljujarvi just so far has not been living up to that. Even though it is still early and he is only 20, he has yet to show the skills that he was promised to have. So with this whole crappy situation with Puljujarvi and the Edmonton Oilers, now they're not really treating him right, is there a possible answer for both sides? And you know what I'm asking, is there a possible trade in the books? So for narrowing down pieces that Peter Chiarelli and the Edmonton Oilers would want back in a trade, I think the biggest thing to start out would be a borderline top 4 defenseman. Not a top 2 defenseman, not a top 3 defenseman, but a guy that on some teams and most teams could be a top 4 guy and could work well there. Not be a fantastic top 4 guy, but could work well, maybe have a little bit of potential in there, maybe a little bit of a younger defenseman, and I think that's what Edmonton needs, and I think that will be the president of what Peter Chiarelli wants in this trade, if there is one. I think the Oilers would also be pretty wise to go for a guy that could work well in their third line right now. There is a little bit of holes in that team, and I think with that depth offense, there is quite a bit of holes. So maybe a pretty young prospect that is playing pretty well right now could slot into their third line, maybe on the wing, but also in a center. That could also work. But I think going young with this trade and getting some young guys coming back, again, you're trading Puljujarvi, so you're going to want some potential coming back at least, and you're going to want to get a guy that produces also. So I think a guy that I can slot in well in that third line right now would definitely work too. I think a few picks would also be in order here. It depends on the team, of course, but let's just say it's like a team like Nashville that will obviously be pretty high up in the standings. Maybe take a first, maybe take a second or third from them. I think getting those picks and getting some, I guess, quality and quantity of picks is definitely important to them. And of course, getting picks back from Puljujarvi, you're going to want that also on the stuff that you've already gotten. And also, Peter Chiarelli can squeak in a prospect that may not be NHL ready, may take a couple of years to get ready, maybe a prospect that is a little bit far out. I think Peter Chiarelli would also want to get that, to get a couple of picks, get that third line guy that has some upside, and get that top four defenseman, and maybe get a guy that has upside and has potential in a couple of years, but isn't quite NHL ready. You could get a good package of Jesse Puljujarvi if you wish to do so. I think there'd be a lot of teams trying to take advantage of Peter Chiarelli also. And with this potential criteria that I listed out here, I think a lot of teams would be pretty stupid to not go to Peter Chiarelli and say, hey, what do you want for Jesse Puljujarvi? Because who knows what Peter Chiarelli wants. I mean, it could be stupid. But right now, I think some teams may be calling into Peter Chiarelli. I don't know if there's anything too serious right now, but what I feel is that there are trade talks coming just because of the situation around Puljujarvi, and some teams might be wanting to take advantage of that. Now, I was thinking about the Nashville Predators, but the more and more I think about it, I don't think they're going to give up a top four defenseman for Puljujarvi right now. I don't think they're going to give up a guy like a Craig Smith, who's like kind of the third liner for them. I don't think Nashville is really in a position to gamble on a guy like Puljujarvi right now, even though adding him to that offense would be great. I think they go more of a line of prospects, which Peter Chiarelli might want for Puljujarvi, but I think he might want some more NHL-ready players right now, and I think that's really the whole purpose of this whole trade, is to get some better players right now for Puljujarvi, because, again, Puljujarvi has potential, but he just hasn't lived up to that yet. So I don't know if a trade to Nashville would totally work. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, I didn't really think that this could work on paper, but when you think about it, Toronto is obviously an offensive team, and they might want to add some even more offense, especially if Nylander goes somewhere else, who knows? But right now, I think that Toronto could be a very interesting trade proposal. I think that if it were to happen, I think Travis Dermott might be a big piece in that. You could maybe have a guy like Andreas Johnson, or maybe a Kasperi Kapanen coming back to Edmonton. Maybe you would have maybe a Carl Grundstrom from the AHL coming back. He might be a little ways from the NHL, but who knows? I think a trade proposal to Toronto, whoever goes back, would be super interesting. I'm not sure if Toronto would want to take that bet, if they want to take that bet on a guy like Puljujarvi, trading a guy like Thomas Dermott, but still, I think that a trade between Toronto or Edmonton could be very interesting for both teams involved. I think another team that makes a lot more sense the more and more I think about it is the New York Rangers. Again, they're a team that, for the criteria I have, could potentially work. Now, it is not a one-to-one right here. I don't think they have a top four defenseman that they want to give up. I don't think they want to give up Brady Shea, so I don't think that's happening. Maybe like a Tony DeAngelo on that defense. Maybe Edmonton wants to take a gamble on that. Of course, they got that Vladislav and Nemestikov situation. If they want to get rid of him, that could be an interesting fit for Edmonton. If they want to put him on the second line with Rulon Draisaitl, that would work pretty well. And then of course, New York has a flurry of prospects. I don't think they want to give a lot of them up because they're in a rebuilding mode, but they want to take a gamble on Jesse Puljujarvi. I'm saying New York has the pieces to do so. I think that could be a very interesting option as well. As a Dallas Stars fan, I think there could be a potential trade, and I'd like to see Jesse Puljujarvi on my team any day. Now, I don't think I would like to give up the stuff that I said in this video, but maybe like a first-round pick for Dallas, maybe Lindell, maybe, but I'm not sure about that one. And Honka would be a good fit. Julius Honka, I think Edmonton would be a perfect fit there, Puljujarvi, and then switch with Honka. I think that will work well. You got a couple of prospects in the system that could work, maybe like a Jason Robertson if they want to give that up. But for Jesse Puljujarvi, I think it's a decent fit there. Of course, Dallas doesn't have the greatest depth offense, and I feel like they have a couple of spare pieces that Edmonton might really, really like. Now, the last team I'm going to mention is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, I think I don't know if it's the most likely trade to happen, but I think this is one of the more example cases here. I think that this could definitely work. Now, when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets and my criteria, let's just start out with the top 4 defensemen. I think that Ryan Murray can really work well with Edmonton. He's had 5 assists so far in 10 games. Not too shabby, and while I have some concerns about him, he still has gotten off to a decent start of the season, so I think that could work for Edmonton if they want to go for a defenseman like that. For the wingers, I'm not sure who they could pick. Maybe like a Josh Anderson, maybe like a June or a Boone Jenner. There really is some options with Columbus. Maybe they go with Liam Foudy as a prospect. He's a little bit far out, but of course he was the first round pick for Columbus in the 2018 NHL draft. So there are some options for Columbus, and I think that it could definitely work well. There are some potentials, and maybe if Columbus wants to give up like a second round, maybe a third round pick, I think that this has a lot of potential, and I feel like Puljujarvi, even though it would be a little bit of a stretch, I feel like Columbus has the assets and has the players that Edmonton ultimately wants. And of course, if Jesse Puljujarvi were to go to Columbus, that would mean that Columbus now has the number 3 overall pick and the number 4 overall pick from the 2016 NHL draft, of course, with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Jesse Puljujarvi, which would be pretty cool for Columbus, having 2 of those guys work hand in hand together. I also forgot to mention that Puljujarvi is an RFA after this year, so the pressure might be on Edmonton to maybe make a deal before Puljujarvi ultimately gets to that point. We'll see, but I think that will ultimately be a factor to Edmonton's decision on whether they trade him, whether they keep him, or whether they sign him. But again, I think there's a ton of potential options for Puljujarvi, and again, as I said before, I think there's a ton of teams that should be lining up to take a guy like Puljujarvi, especially if Peter Chiarelli ends up wanting less than even I thought he would ask for. So for Edmonton, I think there's some potential there. I really don't know if they should trade Puljujarvi. I don't know if they should, just because he's so young, he still has that potential. I think he's been mishandled. But if Edmonton were to go that route of trading him, I think there's a lot of teams that would line up, and there's a lot of potential trades and offers that would come to Peter Chiarelli and the Edmonton Oilers. So should Edmonton be shopping Jesse Puljujarvi? I don't think so, but if they continue to not give him ice time, and if he continues to not perform when he gets that ice time, I think there could become a big controversy, more than it already is, on Jesse Puljujarvi, his future of the Edmonton Oilers, and I really think that there might be a decision made in the next couple of months, especially if Puljujarvi is not dealt with, and especially if Edmonton keeps this kind of crusade going on. But of course, with these videos, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Jesse Puljujarvi, his potential right now? Do you think the Edmonton Oilers should shop him? Do you think they should keep him? And if they were to trade him, where do you think he'll ultimately go, and where do you think he'll get traded to? Now, if you want some more grab goodness, you can watch this video where I talk about Connor McDavid and if he can win a Stanley Cup with Edmonton in his career. But that's good for you guys. If you guys enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe again. Tell me down below with your thoughts on Puljujarvi and the whole situation surrounding with Edmonton. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.